The New York Knicks won Game 5, 111. Good interaction with
balls, like rebounds, like all that. We got to be able to win that battle.
Pascal, can you make sense of it for those of us who don't play this game at this level? Like, you know what was at stake, and you're saying they played harder than you guys. You didn't fight them hard enough. How is that possible?
What do you mean?
How is it possible to not fight hard enough in game?
What are you talking about? They played harder than us. It's okay. We played hard, but they played harder. What's your point? I don't get it.
My point is, you're saying you guys got out fought, and I'm saying
that happens in the game, though. That's basketball.
In game 5, we didn't play one. You're saying
You're good. You're good, bro. You're looking for something. I know. But damn. No. But I'm
action with this.
Well, I gotta say something now. I gotta criticize you. Yeah, man. Why do you be getting them dumb fouls?
I was going to ask the same question.
Why do you do that?
God only knows.
I mean, because when you got your fourth foul, they took you out. They made a run.
Yeah.
You got to stop doing that.
I got to do a much better job.
Yes.
I got to do a much better job.
You can get fouls, but a couple, like the other day when you just grabbed somebody by the wrist.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Or you talking about last game or this game?
Last game.
Every game. Oh, you talking about the one with the pick and roll and
Neesmith? Yeah, you just grabbed his arm.
Yeah.
But you can't be getting those fouls.
I can't. You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. I hurts our team. But again, I want to give a shout out to the bench and the guys, Achua, everyone who comes in and they hold it down, even when I'm making these mistakes. I got to fix that, though.
Okay.
24 and 13 tonight, New York State.
Dumb fouls.
Oh,
I was going.
Road to basketball comeback. We're starting today, bro. Today we about to train.
My fault. So start off with this one. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pass. Yep.
Okay.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Daddy.
You're going to close into me.
Okay.
So step out, then close in.
Okay.
Step out. Step out. Thank you. There you go. 2. Because you're making the layup through the bump. A little closer. Step out. There you go. 2 more. Gotta finish. There you go. Now be stronger with your hands. And you gotta get that Kyrie in you. You know what I mean? Put some English.
Let's get it in. Oh my God.
2 more. It's all right. Get low. There you go. 1 more. Get low so you can power up. There you go. Other side. Step in with your left now. Left foot out first. Yup.
Oh, my left ass.
A little closer. Let's go. It's all right. Just gotta finish. Now you gotta think of it like you in a game, because these are like not normal layups. Yeah. So you gotta have a game mindset trying to finish.
Okay.
A little closer. Come on. There you go. 1. 3 more. There you go. 2. 2 more.
These niggas think once they done with their pre-draft, no more type work like that. Like, nah, that's got to be a staple.
Hey, let's start with the 35. Let's get it.
It's not oh. It's not oh.
Start. Who cares? No?
So
no, you're
Coochie thong shit. Yeah. Your ass cheeks and sign it like. Okay.
You feel me?
Let's get him out of here. Real shit. And I don't know why they laughing, because at the end, turn a fantasy sports mateys.
Preliminary information is that the helicopter was in one piece when it impacted the terrain.
It's starting to look like Kobe Bryant's death wasn't as straightforward as we once thought. For years, the official reports painted a clear picture: a tragic accident, pilot error, nothing more. But now, a shocking new discovery is making waves online, and it's shaking everything we thought we knew. In this video, we're diving into the theories, the facts, the contradictions, and the new claims that have fans linking the two events, and the timing is purely on January. One of the most persistent, the determination to complete the flight despite deteriorating conditions. There was no evidence of mechanical failure, sabotage, or foul play. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner coroner determined that all 9 victims died from blunt trauma, and the deaths were certified as accidental. Toxicology reports showed no drugs or alcohol in the pilot's system. These are the official facts. But in the wake of such a high-profile tragedy involving one of basketball's greatest icons, alternative narratives quickly took hold. One of the most persistent conspiracy theories to emerge involves claims of a connection between Kobe's death and a legal dispute over his Black Mamba nickname. According to posts that have circulated widely on platforms like Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, Kobe was allegedly killed to prevent him from testifying in a lawsuit against a pharmaceutical company that was supposedly using his nickname Black Mamba for energy supplements. In 2025, these claims continue to gather attention, with posts like this one that garnered over 33,000 views on X. A lawyer claims Kobe Bryant was killed by pharma companies 3 days before his Black Mamba lawsuit. But here's where fact-checking becomes critical. The dispute in question was a civil trademark case between Kobe Bryant and High-Tech Pharmaceuticals, and court records show it was effectively resolved before his death. Bryant had filed a motion to suspend proceedings on January 2nd, 2020 for settlement negotiations, and the case was terminated that same day, more than 3 weeks before the helicopter crash. Moreover, as a civil case, it's unclear what testimony would have been so damning as to warrant such extreme measures. The claim simply doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Another conspiracy
Candace Owens exposed a radical group that tried to take her out, literally. And I wish that I could say that I was exaggerating, but unfortunately, I'm not, okay? there were arrests made within this group because of some key evidence that was found. I want to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about.
You guys are messaging me going, what happened? And honestly, I could use your help because I'm not really sure what did happen. And many of you guys are always so concerned about my health and my safety because we go in and we talk about these deep topics. And when you're able to debunk that, on September 4th in particular, this particular part of the debate, I was making an argument that we have to recognize that there are radicals, like holding the title rabbi doesn't mean anything. And there are radicals amongst every religion, and there are radical sects that break out. And here is exactly what I said that warranted, according to this person who was running this group chat, him to try to kill me. So here is what I said to Rabbi Shmuley on September 4th of last year. One of the things that the world is recognizing, and what we've always recognized, is that there are radical fringe sects that break out within every single religion, amongst every race. There's white supremacy, there's black supremacy, there's radical Islam, there are all of these Christ cults around the world. And I think right now it's important for people to understand that radical Judaism is also a thing, and you're watching an example of it right now on your screen. The person sitting across from me, or sitting next to me, I guess, posted on his Facebook page in 2016 a tribute to someone who he said was his mentor. That was Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. He said he was his mentor and his friend. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Rabbi Schneerson, there were some Jews who believed that he was and is the Messiah. So rejecting Christ, but believing that that rabbi was his Messiah. Now, you may remember in the news recently, there was this radicalized faction of the Lubavitch Orthodox community in Brooklyn that were digging tunnels in Brooklyn and hurling benches at police officers. Well, and by the way, this is per the Times of Israel, that faction of individuals are followers of Rabbi Schneerson. So again, you have Rabbi Shmuley who believes that that's his mentor. They believe that he was the Messiah. What is it? It becomes important to understand, what did Rabbi Schneerson preach? Well, he preached Jewish supremacism, the hatred of all non-Jews. And you don't have to take my word for it, because if I said it, they would say that's anti-Semitism. You should instead take the word of the two Jewish professors who translated his work. Those authors' names were Israel Shahak and Norton Mezvinsky. And their book was entitled Jewish Fundamentalism in Israel.
Okay, so real quick. She called out a radical Jewish sect or cult, and I guess the name's Rabbi Schneerson. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but he is a cult leader and he has followers that believe that he is the Christ. And if you are a Christian, you understand the importance of the Christ. We believe Jesus is the Christ, right? Yeshua is the Christ, the Messiah. And so we do everything for the Messiah. We live life for the Messiah. We live and we die for the Messiah. And so if they believe that this other man is the Messiah, they live and die for him. And that is how you create cults, Joseph Smith, right? Like, it's how you create cults. And so she called them out. She called them out, and now their followers are attacking her. And not just online. They're trying to formulate plans, as you're about to see. She's about to give us the details. Okay, this is crazy. Let's check it out.
I then proceeded to share those quotations, which again came from authors, Israeli authors, and it caused an insane reaction in my life. Right? Pretty much days after this, YouTube completely demonetized me, and it was led by an account on X called Awesome Jew, who was telling people to mass report my YouTube channel. And we were not able to get remonetized until early this year. So it lasted for a very long time. The person took credit for that, despite us showing YouTube that all of these reports came in on that day. They hit a ton of our videos, and then they fully demonetized us. And we were able to learn that that Awesome Jew account, the person who was running it, lives in New Jersey, okay? Then on September 10th, and this is according to the Department of Justice, there was a person who posted a video making threats against my life, saying that he was going to kill me. My husband and I were shortly thereafter contacted by the FBI. They didn't give us any details. They just said that your name has come up in an investigation. We can't tell you anymore. We're closing on this investigation. Then in October, when this individual was arrested, they still did not tell us his name. They contacted me and my husband, and they said the suspect has been apprehended. We will tell you more in the future, but and my husband just said, is our life at risk? I mean, do we have any safety concerns? Is there more that we should know about this? And they said no, so we knew nothing. Fast forward to this year in April, my husband gets another phone call from the FBI, and they say, we're going to send you a pamphlet on what it means to be a victim and what your rights are. Still did not tell us that a man had been arrested in October 25th. They didn't tell us his name, rather, of who had been arrested and what the charges were and what the threats were to my life. We get a pamphlet in the mail, and then on May 6th, we find out that this individual pled guilty. And after he pled guilty, they finally informed me of the name of this individual, and his name is Chaim Braverman. And yes, he is connected to the Lubavitchers. So what better way to make an argument that you're not radical and insane other than trying to kill someone for saying that you're a radical, and that things have gotten out of hand and that these radical sects do exist. This hit the news before my husband and I were ever given this person's name. And I have to tell you, what's really terrifying about this is we are asking the DOJ to share with us the other 39 individuals that were in this group chat, okay? We were told that this individual made a group on social media of like-minded people who were angry about my Piers Morgan appearance. And in this group, he began transmitting death threats against me and saying that he was serious, that he was going to murder me. He showed the weapon, told the individuals that if you're not comfortable with discussing weapons at this stage, then get out of this chat. And this is a quotation from the DOJ report. He said this in his video, you'll get what's coming to you. I've never met someone that I could effing do right now. He then had a steel bat in his hands and said that he was going to kill me with a steel bat. Said that he would beat me with that he wouldn't even stop, that he would kill me until I was dead. And he quite literally said in this video, I am threatening a death sentence against Candace Owens. And writing this in a chat, what really alarms me here is 39 other people knew about this. 39 other people were in this chat and understood that he wanted to kill me and he was serious about this. And none of them thought to reach out to me. None of them reached out to me on social media and said, hey, I'm in this chat and I don't like you, I disagree with you and your stance on Israel. And maybe I'm a fan of Rabbi Shmuley, but this is wrong.
I wish that I could say that this was the first time I've ever heard of something of this sort, but it's not. I mean, someone that I know that also does Christian reactions told me a similar story about another cult-like group that
you had a massive altercation with Diddy's sons, and then several weeks later, someone tries to kill you. People think that maybe Diddy has something to do with what happened.
I just think that we need to just chill. We need to let Puffy go.
But I'm just trying to get in my head right. When you said they tried to kill me, who tried to kill you? Well, Diddy is back in.
Like, I'm just starting to feel uncomfortable, and I'm starting to feel weird about this whole thing.
Well, it was certainly interesting last week when I interviewed this guy who had the pseudonym The Punisher, who was hired, and it was Cassie Ventura. Right. So you want me to apologize? Fuck you.
That was a tough day. I really don't want to talk about that day too much because I don't want that day to happen again. And I was able to just kind of figure out what it is and what it was. And so for me, just for everybody's safety and for just having the information and just keeping it to myself, it's just better.
In and have sex with her. And it happened maybe a dozen times over a 2.5-year period. Now, none of that says to me.
It said, like with Kid Cudi going on and saying everything that happened, but then ended up saying, Cassie played both of us. It's like, where are we trying to go? Are we just trying to like tell all of these crazy stories and then that equals out to sex trafficking? I mean, it's starting to become outrageous. It's a RICO case. It's really only Diddy and maybe one other person. Like, I'm just starting to feel uncomfortable, and I'm starting to feel weird about this whole thing.
Well, it was certainly interesting last week when I interviewed this guy who had the pseudonym The Punisher, who was hired, and it was Cassie Ventura. Right. So it was a sort of very interesting interview because Cassie Ventura did all the negotiating, did all the payments, and did all the texting to him. Diddy would sit in the corner of a hotel room naked, and he would watch, with her apparent full consent, this guy come in and have sex with her. And it happened maybe a dozen times over a 2.5-year period. Now, none of that says to me that that is a serious crime. If she is the one that is organizing it all. Now, she is arguing it was coercion and so on. You know all these people very well. You know Cassie Ventura. You know Diddy well. When you saw that interview, maybe you saw the one that I did, but when you saw that guy talk, what was your takeaway from that?
I was just thinking, like, what year are we in? Like, it feels like we're in this vortex of like this dominatrix story about all of these different characters that are coming out and the names and the nicknames. And I mean, it's intense. I think that it's entertaining for sure, and it's definitely press worthy. But at the end of it all, it's like, this is what Diddy is being charged for, and this is what he possibly might serve a lot of jail time for. I don't understand it, and I really want to know where this is all gonna go and where does this lead? Because again, it's weird, it's freaky, like the whole oral thing with the 19 guys and the blisters. I mean, it feels like they're just trying to paint these pictures of Diddy. And I was around Diddy all the way pretty much up until the arrest. And all I got from that when I hung out with Diddy, and this is word to my mom and kids, he's always inspired me to be great. When I left, I felt like I could do more for my business. I felt like I had more power because I wanted to be more vocal in running my companies and call my wife if we were getting into it and send her flowers. I mean, these are all the things he was instilling to me and all of the young guys around that were inspired and you know, look at him as a mentor. So now these private things that happen when we were around and never even got a chance to see this kind of crazy stuff, it just sounds like this was a private, personal thing that was happening, and now it's starting to become it's diabolical. I mean, if that's the right word, it's chilling and it's scary for a lot of people out there in this business like us who are trying to walk the right path and connect with the right people when there's things that you do when you make bad mistakes. But this is like an overflow of just complete negativity.
So it sounds to me, unless I'm wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you think that there's been a massive overreach here. This is personal behavior between Diddy and Cassie Ventura that we've seen so far, that it doesn't cross the line from where you sit into serious crime under the RICO law, which of course was, you know, intended for mafia members and so on. Do you think that's what we're witnessing here with this case? That this was consensual? It may be freaky, it may be sexually deviant, it may be all these things, but it was apparently consensual behavior and not a crime.
I agree, and there's things that you know we saw in these videos, and they were disturbing, and that's not okay, right? But looking at the crimes that he's being charged for, this is where it starts to go overboard, and I think it's a flex, because like, what are they trying to get out of this? It's mad. Was mad at the to go overboard, and it's like, whoever was mad at the top was really mad. And I think we're here now, and I think it's a flex. Because like, what are they trying to get out of this in this court case? Does everybody that's talking about these stories, do they want to see Puffy rot in jail? Is that what we're here for? because I just think that that's unfair, and just knowing everybody, it just could have been done a different way. And now it's starting to worry me. And I honestly think that Diddy will get out. And I think that there's nothing here, right? I think they made their point, whatever they were trying to make. Your point is made. Now let Diddy out. Free Diddy.
Wow, you think he's going to walk?
I think so. And I personally think it's going to happen faster than a lot of people think, because I think we're all starting to see what this is. Even if you're on the other side of it, I mean, you know, the justice system is the justice system. Where does this fit in right as opposed to right and wrong? It's off. And I don't like it.
Here's my problem.
And I want to be vocal about it.
Right, so I've met Diddy a couple of times at social functions many years ago, and he was perfectly polite and nice to me, and we had a perfectly civilized conversation. One was an Oscars party, one was an event in London. I have to say, when I watched the video that was leaked of him attacking Cassie Ventura in that hotel corridor, I did think then, well, you're not the person I thought I knew from everything I'd read and heard. You're a very violent person, capable of beating up a woman. That is despicable. And if you're capable of that, and that's just what we saw on a CCTV bit of footage by chance, then what else are you capable of? What do you say to people like me who looked at that and go, well, this guy is a vicious, nasty piece of work?
Listen, I was very hurt when I saw the video. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was very disappointed, and I still am. And my heart goes out to Cassie for me just watching that, right? It's not okay. And there's nothing about that was okay. And I can't say but after that, because that's just what that is. And I feel the same way you feel. But on the top of what we're doing now, and even with the tape being altered, I heard, and they're not going to be able to use it probably in court because it was altered before it was put out, that puts a spin on it. It doesn't put the spin on what he did. But the altered tape, that as opposed to sex trafficking and a RICO, and now it's in this mafia setting, it just doesn't, they don't go together. If he was charged for something else that maybe had fit what we saw, we all kind of would understand what's going on. But the charges and what's being done, it's not okay.
I am the proud owner of 2 cats, which are named after 2 Arsenal football legends. And like their owner, they
is and I in that, right? There's
and go, well, this, and if you're capable of that, if you're capable of beating up a woman, that person capable of everything I'd read in a hotel corridor, I did think then, well, you're not the person I thought I knew from everything I'd read and heard. You're a very violent person capable of beating up a woman. That is despicable. And if you're capable of that, and that's just what we saw on a CCTV bit of footage by chance, then what else are you capable of? What do
billion down to 300 million, and then Kanye goes marketed it as an urban product and failed to. Here's some money, you stay quiet. Cool. We're out. Here's some money, you stay quiet. We'll pay you, but we want to get out of here. The only thing at the time is kind of crazy is January 2024, they settle. 2 months later, remember what we're sitting there doing and minding our own business? And you hear, March of 2024, the feds are raiding Diddy's Miami home and his LA home. For what? What are they trying to get? And you saw them pulling out all these boxes. What's going on over here? Federal agents raided his Miami and LA home, seizing 90 terabytes of digital data. What are you taking? A bunch of letters he wrote? What do you think they're getting there, right? Multiple unregistered firearms, over 1,000 bottles of lubricant, allegedly linked to coerced sex events. His associate, Brandon Paul, was arrested at a Miami airport, and Diddy's jet was tracked to Antigua, though he remained in the U.S. We all remember this. This is nothing new. May of 2024, guess what footage is released? Cassie Ventura's footage. How long have you been having it, CNN? Since 2016. You haven't released it till now? No. Who made the phone call to say release it now? Who was kind of like, we're done with this guy. You're not back. You're threatening to say this. Release the footage, right? So they released the footage. He comes out, issues an apology, while his lawyers accuse the government of leaking the tape. It was later admitted as evidence in his trial. Again, January deal. March is raiding his house, Miami and LA. May, here's a video being dropped from CNN. Even though they've been sitting on it for 8 years. September 2024, book is released, Kim's Lost Words, which, by the way, there's a lot of speculation with this thing here, so whatever I'm reading you is not necessarily 100%. It is there, it is not there. The alias they use on who wrote the book is Shanti Millwood, which is an alias for Tupac, which is kind of weird. Why would you use that? This book appeared on Amazon, allegedly written by Kim Porter, accused Diddy of abuse, misconduct with minors. Porter's children denounced it as fake. Investigators revealed the real author was Chris Todd, who claimed he compiled the book from a mysterious flash drive. Amazon removed the book a month later in October. So September last year was a rough year for him because that's when the lawsuit comes out and he's arrested and indicted on federal charges, racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, and transportation for prostitution. The indictment claimed he ran a criminal enterprise from 2008 to 2024. He pleaded not guilty and remained jailed at MDC Brooklyn, where his bail offers was up to $50 million, was rejected. Then all of a sudden, October, wave of lawsuits come out, okay? Attorney Tony Busby filed numerous lawsuits against Diddy with over 120 cases. Planned allegations span sexual abuse, drugging, coercion, often tied to industry events. Some suits implicate third parties, including Marriott International, for allegedly enabling the abuse. Like, you allowed for this to happen and you knew it was taking place. Then it comes to today, May of 2025, the trial begins. Okay, so what is he being prosecuted for? You got charges for racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, and transportation for prostitution. That's what's taking place right now. What is he not being prosecuted for that he's been allegedly accused of doing over the years? For example, sexual abuse of minors ages 9 to 17 in the 90s, 2000 civil suits. You know what happened? Likely barred by statute of limitations or lacked sufficient criminal evidence. Gone. Murder, blackmail, and surveillance claims, Kim Porter, drive leaks, highly speculative with no verified forensics or corroborating evidence. Gone. Arson, alleged car bombing of Kid Cudi's vehicles, alleged by Cassie but not supported by public documentation or prosecutable evidence. Gone. Civil allegations from 120 accusers, many told unverified and not investigated fully. Some may still be under review, but right now we only know about 4. So this is the one part that we got to be thinking about, because a lead prosecutor can determine whether your crime is going to be bigger or less, more scrutinized, and people are going to be looking at everything, or less. I mean, if you think about President Trump, right, in New York, you have the case that came out with Stormy Daniels, hush money, hey, that could have been civil. Whatever the number was, $125,000. Didn't need to be criminal. He's a convicted felon, but the guy that was a lead prosecutor was a guy named Matthew Colangelo, and guess who's the one that appointed him? DA Alvin Bragg. And who is Alvin Bragg? You think Alvin Bragg loves Trump? No, they wanted to make him a convicted felon to just kind of destroy him. In this case, is the complete opposite who the lead prosecutor is for Diddy. It used to be Damian Williams, who was the lead prosecutor until he resigned in December of 2024. Damian Williams is a pretty connected guy. He's been a lead prosecutor on a lot of different things. You ready? Epstein, you got Diddy, you got Ghislaine Maxwell, and many others. He was appointed by President Biden. He used to work, had a relations with the Soros family. So he steps away in December of 2024 for Diddy. Why would he step away? And you know who replaces him as a lead prosecutor? Maureen Comey. You know who Maureen Comey is? She is James Comey, the former director of FBI that put the 8647 on his Instagram. She is his daughter. That is now the lead prosecutor going against Diddy. Daughter. That is now she is his, the former director of FBI that put the 8647 on his Instagram. She is his daughter. That is now the lead prosecutor going against Diddy. Do you think Diddy's going to end up being guilty? Who knows? We'll find out if she's going to go after him hard or not. Now, to be fair, Damian Williams and Maureen Comey both were the prosecutors, going against Sam Bankman-Fried, and decided to kind of not look at the donations that he made. I think it was the second biggest for Democrats, and he gave a bunch of Republicans as well. He was trying to buy everybody out during that time. And this comes down to one other thing with Maureen Comey, to just kind of give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. She was a lead prosecutor going against Robert Hayden. Robert Hayden was a gynecologist who was accused of taking advantage of clients that were coming in. And one of them was Andrew Yang's wife, if I'm not mistaken. He was doing a lot of weird things. He went away 20 years in jail. So I don't want to put it in here and say Maureen Comey's not going to go after certain people. She has. But in this case, Ghislaine, Epstein, Diddy, kind of weird. They're kind of weird. Bribery, reputation of what they did. A little weird that the same person is a lead prosecutor on those three different people. So this was kind of weird with Diddy, with certain patterns on certain people in his life. I had Suge Knight on. Well, around the same time while this is going on, 6, 7, 8 months ago. And he says, look, no man wakes up one day and learns how to do this kind of stuff. What do you mean no man wakes up one day? Somebody had to teach you on how to bribe and do this and hold people hostage and da-da-da-da-da. Kind of weird. And then Clive Davis's name comes up. And in Clive Davis, apparently, when you look at this in the early 70s, federal authorities started investigating whether major records, including Columbia Records, division of CBS, were directly or indirectly involved in a drug-fueled payola scheme. These were illegal arrangements where drugs or money were allegedly used to bribe radio DJs and stations to give preferential airplay to certain artists. You know who was the leading guy for Columbia at the time? A guy named Clive Davis in 1973, a rising executive and then president of Columbia Records, fired by CBS in 1973. The official reason cited the misuse of company funds. He was accused of charging personal expense, including lavish bar mitzvah costs for his son, to the company. I mean, obviously that's not good, but if you look at the charts, you hear them using heroin and other drugs to bribe DJs. Even his former EA testified and gave statements that Clive Davis authorized payola practices, further damaging his reputation. So what does Clive Davis do? Starts his own company called Arista Records in 1974. Now, while he's going through, the CBS sues him to recover some of the funds. Davis was not indicted or charged with any crime, including the broader allegations on payola or drug-related misconduct. So the relationship between Clive Davis and Diddy is interesting, because when Diddy's 23 years old, he's making a name for himself. Clive gave him $15 million to start Bad Boy Records. And then later on, they did even a bigger deal where Clive gave him $50 million advance on future earnings. This is 5 years later in 1998. $6 million upfront payment, $700,000 annual salary, and a state-of-the-art recording studio. We're talking a $2 million recording studio. This is when he went after Faith Evans. He got Biggie in the early 90s. This is when it started. But there's a relationship with Clive. And it's interesting because Clive later on, they say something may have happened here, because Suge said Clive taught him the bad habits. And later on, Clive comes out and says the following. Yes, record mogul Clive Davis has identified as being bisexual. He publicly revealed in his memoir, this is not allegedly, he said it, The Soundtrack of My Life. At the age of 80, he also discussed in an interview with Katie Couric, expressing the hope that his coming out would contribute to greater understanding of bisexuality. It's Clive Davis. And on top of that, very weird, the principal of the high school that Diddy went to school to. This is like completely crazy. In 1987, Reverend Bernard Lynch and brother Timothy Brady were accused of sexually abusing students at Mount St. Michael Academy in Bronx, New York. While this was happening, the allegations involved the molestation of 3 boys. While the timing overlaps Diddy enrollment at school, there is no public record or indication that he was among the victims, and no one knows the 3 boys' names. So Timothy Brady goes and gets convicted, goes to jail. He's in prison. But when he comes out, he goes back and is reassigned by Marist Brothers to a Catholic high school in Chicago, where he worked from 1993 to 2005, 12 more years after you know what he's doing to boys. I mean, this makes a lot of sense, right? And then Reverend Bernard Lynch was indicted in 98, stood trial in 89 on the abuse of former student. He was acquitted of all charges. Lynch has maintained that his prosecution was a result of a witch hunt due to his AIDS ministry and advocacy for LGBTQ rights. In 2019, Lynch faced a new civil lawsuit allegedly sexual abuse of a 16-year-old student at Mount St. Michael Academy during 1978 and 79. The lawsuit was dropped in 2021. So who knows? Some are saying maybe one of those 3 boys could have been Diddy, and maybe he picked up some of those habits there. Chances of that, less than 5%. But these are all very weird things that are kind of coming together. This next one here, don't let your kids listen to this next part. I mean, at this point, if you've let your kids listen to the whole thing, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. But this next part, maybe you say earmuffs or pause, stop the video, step away, put the, So this guy goes to Macy's one day, Diddy, with his crew. While he's at Macy's, the plaintiff claims that Diddy, accompanied by 3 armed bodyguards, enters the stockroom. This is 08. This isn't too long ago. This is 17 years ago. He was 38 years old at the time. Goes in the stockroom, and the plaintiff alleges that he was struck, possible pistol whipped, and threatened with death by the bodyguards. Combs then allegedly forced them to perform oral on him, referring to as echo, and making derogatory comments during the assault. Do you know what ends up happening afterwards? You may never go to Macy's ever again, okay? You ready? Aftermath, Macy's response. Following the incidents, Combs purportedly took Sean John merchandise from the stockroom and distributed it to shoppers on the sales floor. The plaintiff reported assault to Macy's security, but asserts that no action was taken. He further alleges that approximately 3 weeks later, Macy's CEO Terry Lundgren pressured Echo executive to terminate his employment to safeguard a multi-million-dollar deal Macy's had with Sean John. Subsequently, he was fired and lost his company-provided housing. Like, I don't know if this is a true story or not, but it's written about all over the place. You're not gonna have a hard time finding this. If a person comes out and says, this person did this to me, one person comes out, they're getting after somebody. 2, 3, all of these stories in different, this person's got issues in his heart. And I'm talking about Diddy. The guy's got problems, you know? I mean, this doesn't happen to Diddy. And we looked at each other like this for a couple minutes at a Miami. I didn't know who he was. She was right into it. Check this out. This guy Diddy.
I'm not saying Puffy not guilty on majority stuff. He'd probably be more happy in prison than in the streets, because at least in prison, he can get all the baby all he wants. Puffy didn't have sex with too many higher-up people in the industry. Now, I'm not talking about women. It's a big world, but it's a small circle. Ray J and Puffy definitely were lovers. It was a murder for hire hit with too many higher-up people, because these. I'm not saying with too many higher-up in the streets. I'm not long ago in David Kenner, I paid Johnny Cochran close to $1 million. I think it was David Kenner. Now, for as what they say Puffy did and didn't do, just the facts. The facts of the matter is this. It's a guy named Reggie Wright Jr., who was over security. He didn't work directly for Death Row, but he had a security company called Right Way Security, who did security for Death Row with off-duty police officers or guys with a CCW. Everybody knows when we go to a fight in Vegas, we're going to be at the Tyson fight, and we're going to be at my club they call Club 662. You can go to that club and you'll see Mary J. Blige perform, Jodeci performs, Tupac performs, Snoop and the Dogg Pound, Andre. I mean, unbelievable talent in one place. That night was going to be Run DMC East Coast night. Reggie Wright Jr. told the security they can't carry firearms. The sad thing about that, Pac hated Reggie Wright Jr., so he had fired him before any of that. I don't know the right date, but I'm quite sure it was. It's paperwork that shows it. But the crazy thing about that, it was a bodyguard named Frank Alexander. Pac hated Frank. He was cool at first, but towards the end, he hated Frank because Frank always wanted to get into pictures with Tupac. And Tupac was very militant, so he was like, man, I don't want a bodyguard taking pictures with me. How is he watching my back if he getting himself in the pictures? So I hired a guy named Michael Moore and told him to bring another off-duty police officer because they kept their gun and they was real aggressive by protecting Tupac. So on the way to the fight, Reggie Wright Jr. tell Michael Moore, he can't carry his weapon when he's doing bodyguard work for Tupac. Michael Moore said, well, I'm going back to the hotel. If I can't carry my gun, I can't protect myself or Tupac, so I'm not going. So Reggie Wright Jr., who nicknamed that Pac gave him Pork Butt, so Pork Butt goes and says, Frank, you can go, but you can't bring your gun. Now, everyone knows you can't be a bodyguard without a gun. So after the fight, we come from the fight. Tupac got into it with another guy. It was a big fight. After that fight, after we stopped to a few places, we go to my house. I told Frank, I told all the security, I told everyone, Pac just beat up a well-known gang member. Send 4 or 5 guys extra to the house to escort Tupac to the club. Reggie Wright Jr. refused to send the security guys, refused to show up. That wasn't a coincidence. It was a murder for hire hit. We was blocked in. It was more than one shooter. Only person know the truth, the real truth, is me and Tupac. He's not there to tell it. Only person knows is myself. But Reggie Wright Jr. tried to change the whole story of the narrative, what actually happened, and he was not there. During that situation, Snoop, who everyone knew at the time, wanted Tupac dead. Snoop had a meeting with Daz, Corrupt, Nate Dogg, the Dog Pound. Said, we're not going to Vegas. This is their words, not mine. We're not going to Vegas because basically something's going to happen. Somebody's going to get killed, right? So Corrupt tells the story. Daz tells the story. Warren G tells the story. Now, what Daz says, when Snoop said there, I said, damn, we can't go to Vegas. Who's going to get those niggas? They're already going to get guy, basically. Corrupt tells the story and says, once he tells everybody they can't go to the fight and can't go to Vegas, turns around, Nate Dogg says, I'm going to go to Vegas. Then because I'm going to Vegas, I don't got to be around basically me and Pac. He said, as long as I ain't around them, I don't have to worry about getting shot or getting a stray bullet. That lets you know, premeditated plan. Warren G says, when the fight was going on, he was watching at his house. Snoop came over to watch the fight. Snoop had a walkie-talkie. These walkie-talkies, he only got this walkie-talkie that I bought for security and the principal that security doing security with. And they worked on all the West Coast. So if you're an artist and you going to the mall or you going somewhere, they have a walkie-talkie, security have a walkie-talkie. If you're not going to an event with any of the security details, you don't have a walkie-talkie. Because I didn't buy that many because I wanted to be exclusive to hand them out who was needed. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, so Snoop comes in, according to Warren G, and he got this big walkie-talkie. They start hearing the gunshots. When we getting shot, Snoop listening to it in real time. Pow, 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 all over the radio. That's when he tell him, hey, I got to go and take taxes out of it. So when they told her she had to pay taxes on it, I mess with women. I do it all.
Capricorn Clark, that he beat her very badly. He beat Cassie Ventura very badly. He was clearly very violent.
We go out there, it was tough. They could say they come in with guns to kill me. They could say they come in and do this. They can have
Well, his stage encounters.
Kind of like a no. I just wanted to be as professional for the scenario as I would assume was required.
Did you ever travel outside of New York with them?
I did not.
When you were engaged in this encounter and intimate with Cassie Ventura, as you've said on the stand, you were asked about how long did that last?
10, 15 minutes, and it would be, consistent. How's work going? How's the parties? How's things? So it seemed like a very cordial, laid back situation. And I actually believed that the scenario was real. It was like her birthday. This was something they were doing as a couple that wasn't normal. I mean, that wasn't their norm. And I honestly thought I was the only person they were engaging with. So I had almost a belief that I was, wow, like this is a cool thing. Like I'm the person they're choosing for this kind of fetish type of environment. And
nothing seemed illegal to you or anything out of sorts?
Not even close. Like I didn't even get any thought of anybody being like under the influence of any drugs or anything. It seems like a very, for the circumstance, everybody was just normally in their right state of mind, and this was just something they did for sexual pleasure.
You never saw any violence?
Nothing close. Situation at parties, house things.